everyone, Danielle Carpino here of Humble Tree Homestead. Welcome to our channel. We are so happy to have you here. We are entering into week number 7 of garden tours. I can't believe we're here already. This has flown by so incredibly fast. We live in Washington State, Zone 7, and while we are having a warm summer, we are not having our usual sweltering hot summer. It has been kind of exciting to have cooler days and nice crisp air in the morning and nights. However, this next week we are going to have a heat wave coming through. 107, we're there. So anyways, it'll be really exciting to see the garden's difference between this week and next week. However, this week, week 7 that we're on and we're talking about, we actually have had a lot of produce coming into our home from our garden, which has been really exciting to have organic produce coming in from our garden that I know every hand that's touched, that I know exactly what's going into it. It has been just so exciting for me. When you guys hear my background story of who I am and where I've come from and what's led me to this point, you'll understand why having organic food is so important to me and my health and well-being, and why this is so incredibly exciting for me. However, that's a different story for a different day. So let's get started with the garden tour, what this video is actually about. Let's take a look.
Our Shiso Britain is such a beautiful plant. I don't use it a whole lot. I haven't quite figured out the correct ways to use it or good dishes or anything like that. But the plant itself is so incredibly gorgeous. This is an Asian herb that has flavors like mint, basil, and anise in the flavor profile of it. It's very mild. It's not a strong tasting herb, but it's so fun and different, and I just think that this plant itself is gorgeous and deserves a space in most people's garden because of just the sheer beauty of it. The contrast of that purple and the green just really make for a very pretty plant. And as you can see, this thing gets very large. I need to start looking up ways to use it as an herb, but the plant itself really brings me a lot of joy too. So it's just such a beauty. Like you can see, it's just so pretty. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the Shiso Britain. We all know how I feel about the shishito peppers. These are the star of the garden in my opinion. I am just obsessed with them. We typically use them by blistering them in a pan and then making a tahini aioli. However, this past week my husband had a really good idea, and we took the shishito peppers and punctured them, coated them in olive oil, and then we threw them on the Traeger. So it gave them this lovely smokiness to them, and it was really, really good. I actually enjoyed them that way, and we will probably do that again. I probably next time would do it a little bit slower than what we did. We just only did it for a half hour, so like low and slow I think would really be the way to go with that. So once I kind of get that perfected, I'll probably have us do a video so that you guys can learn that method of cooking them up too, because it was really, really good. have the sweet little Wilbur, our runt of our family, the California green bell pepper. that is just continuing to be little and take up space with such joyous heart and enjoyment that it brings to the garden. We love you, Wilbur, but I don't think we're going to be getting any peppers off of you anytime soon. Our raspberry echinacea doesn't have any flowers on it right now because I accidentally cut one of them off that was supposed to stay on when I was pruning my dry flowers. So right now, it's just a lovely green plant with no beautiful raspberry colored flowers. However, there are new ones that are starting to produce inside of there. You can kind of see that little cluster. That'll eventually be a new flower. So it will have some raspberry colored flowers on it, but right now we're just having a nice green plant in place of the beautiful raspberry colored flowers that I accidentally butchered. Our sweet Carlina pepper, this is that one that I keep telling you is just a ginormous beast of a pepper in our garden. You can see here, they're so big. This is gonna be a sweet pepper. I think it's gonna be ideal for stuffing. That's what we're gonna try with it. We're gonna try to make like a breakfast stuffed pepper, kind of like a breakfast burrito, but inside of a pepper. Whenever they actually ripen up, we still have a bunch of new fruit that is setting on. But we'll go over to the other side and I'm gonna show you guys that we have color changes happening. Finally. I think it's just because they are such a big pepper that they took so much longer to change color. But you can see now that there is definitely that color change that's happening throughout it. Over here, the ones that are still hidden are not quite changing, but the ones that are out in the sun are definitely starting to change. And this is gonna be a red pepper. So when it turns all the way red, then it's done. But as you can see, they are just ginormous peppers. They remind me a lot size-wise of a poblano pepper. I'm just very excited to give this one a whirl and just kind of see what it can do in the kitchen. But it's just fun. I really enjoy just looking at them because they're just ginormous peppers. There's no other way of saying it. They're big boys. We have our banana peppers. They continue to just produce for us really well. We are having a really good banana pepper harvest this year. I'm harvesting them at least once a week, getting good sized peppers off of them that I'm gonna make pepperoncinis out of, and they're just doing really good for them. I really enjoy this plant. A, for the production purposes of it, the fact that I can get pepperoncinis out of them, but also the fact that they just have this like really bright, vibrant color to them, which just adds interest to this garden, in my opinion, and all the dark peppers, and then you have this really vibrant, bright pepper in the mix. It's so pretty to me. And it's loaded on both sides with great peppers, new production, new blossoms. It's just gonna be a good producer for us this year, I think. From there, we have our great producing lemon drop pepper. This one is doing phenomenal. This is one of our 2 spicy peppers that we have. It is a smaller, flatter style pepper that will turn a very vibrant yellow whenever it is ready to be harvested. And then it has a good spice to it and a lemon zest finish on it. I'll take you down here where we have some that are ripe and almost ready. So you'll see that huge difference. You'll see that big difference of a green one, and then when they're ripe, they turn this banana yellow color, and that's when you know that they are ready to be harvested. This is another really fun color, just that vibrant pop. I cannot wait till all those peppers start to turn that color, because this is really gonna be a beautiful plant in my opinion. But I would suggest, if you like spicy peppers, I would give this one a whirl, because it really produces a lot for us. It grows great. It's a huge plant, as you can see. My husband just thinks it's a really fun pepper with that little lemon zest aftertaste to it. Thai basil, this is the plant that was not doing very well and has really turned around and is so pretty. You can see that the leaves are extremely green and just vibrant. We do have seeding that's going on. If you haven't watched my previous videos, I like to let them go to seed. Only my Thai basil. My other basils I do not, because it makes it bitter. However, the Thai basil, it gives it a really beautiful anise flavor, and you can pick off the seeds and use them just as like a garnish on your dishes, and it gives it that lovely anise flavor to it. But I did keep them past the point where I would normally use them as a garnish. This point right here, this is when it's really going to seed. You can kind of see the seed pods that are forming, the flowers that are coming on. I left this on here so that you guys could see when it goes to complete seed what it looks like. What I would just do is I would just keep those and dry them off and use them next year to plant my own Thai basil, but I don't really use them for cooking at that stage. It's kind of more when they're this little small cluster that I will pick them off and I'll use that as the garnish. This part I'm just gonna let go to seed, but I thought it would be really fun for you guys to see just kind of what it looks like as it's going through its whole growing spurt. From Thai basil to Thai peppers. This is our second spicy pepper that we are growing this season, and this one is Zach's favorite. He says that they are really good when they hit to the ripe stage, which is when they're red. They're good green, but he says that he definitely prefers them more when they are that red color. You can see right there, that fiery red. That's when you know that they're ready to pick. You can see here that we have a lot on this Thai plant. Every single branch is just packed to the gills with these little finger-like peppers, which will be very enjoyable for Zach. This is the first year that we have grown them very successfully. We've grown them in containers in the past. It wasn't ideal growing situations, but we didn't have like great yield and production. This year we have a lot, so he's gonna try doing some fermented hot sauces with it. Then from there you can see our beautiful sweet baby watermelon. Now we are waiting for this to ripen. What I have heard is that you know they're ripe when the tendril that is attached to it dries up. I'm going to do a little more research so I can give you a definite yes, that's how you want to do it. But you can see it's getting big, it's growing great. You can hear it's starting to hollow out. I'm really excited for this one. The plant itself is still healthy and doing good, but it's not producing any more watermelon like I told you. However, there's all these new shoots that are on it that I really think are just waiting for that watermelon to ripen up, and then it's going to probably set on new fruit when it gets close to harvesting time. But again, that is a sweet baby watermelon plant. The Petite de Gris is a French cantaloupe varietal. This one is the one that is going to have more of a caramel flavor to it. We're so anxiously awaiting this one just because that description of what it's supposed to taste like is really exciting to us. As you can see, this one is definitely growing. It's getting very large. I don't know how to tell when it is ready, so I'm going to ask my guru Stacy at the Bug Girl Garden and see what she says. Since we got this variety from her, she'll have a good idea of like when it is ready to be harvested. One thing that I think I had heard at one point was that melons go matte in color instead of shiny when they're ready. I'm not sure. I will look into it more and I will let you know for sure come the time of our next video. But you can see it's really getting very large. It's got to be close to being ready. I mean, its name is Petite, and this is not very petite. It's a big size melon. As soon as I know when it's ripe, I will let you guys know any information that I find out on that varietal. I do think that this plant is such a pretty plant. Just the leaves are really neat on it. The fruit itself is really beautiful. This is another big one that we have on there. And then you'll see that we have throughout this, we have like little ones that are coming on and like kind of in that dormant stage. At least I think that's what they are, but they're throughout the whole thing. So I'm not picking them off until I know for sure if they're good or if they just didn't get pollinated. But at least we have 3 for sure, and they're just such a pretty melon. I think leaves are beautiful on it as well, so win-win. From there we go into our Armenian cucumber jungle. Remember how I have now pruned this 2 different times, and you can see that it is thriving. All of these are brand new shoots off of it that are growing. You can see blossoms. If you actually look in the plant, you're going to see cucumbers all throughout it now. We were having a problem with cucumbers setting on, and that's why I first experimented with pruning it, and since then we've really been getting cucumbers setting on to our plant itself. This one I don't think got pollinated correctly. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer, but it's turning yellow, so I'm not really sure that that one made it. However, this one that I have been showing you for weeks is finally growing very quickly. This has seemed to be like doubling in size every day the past 2 days. So I think that that one is finally like, oh hey, I know what I'm supposed to do. And then when you come down here, We have all of those down there. I only had one before. I now have 3. So you can see that they're just doing really well for us now that we've been pruning them. And I really strongly suggest pruning them. At this point, what we're going to do is we're going to let them kind of run wild and do their own thing just to kind of see how it looks and show you guys at the end of the season what they're going to look like. Because we thought it would be kind of fun just to see like exactly how wild this would get if we never had pruned it, and what it's gonna do if we just let it grow as it wants to grow. It's the end of the season. We have probably a month or 2 more of these growing, and we're just kind of, curiosity has struck, and I want to be your guys' classroom, so we'll just see what it does at this point. But you can see there's just blossoms all throughout this thing. They're very healthy, big blossoms. It's actually setting on fruit throughout the plant now. We are not going to be lacking in Armenian cucumbers now. We were at first. We were not getting them on, and that's why I started to experiment with pruning them. And if you want to see a video, I do have a video up on pruning cucumbers that you can reference so that you can learn how to prune cucumbers and kind of see the steps that I took and what I did for them. Then we have our Thelma Sanders acorn squash. This one is that variety that I found last year and I am obsessed with, and I'm so incredibly excited to have this in my garden, to see them thriving and doing so well. We have 2 full-size ones on there. I did find out that when you let this sit on the vine, this will start to dry up when it's ready to go. When I had asked about it, I found out that September is kind of the typical time to harvest them around here. They'll get this buttery color, then that stem will dry out, and that's when you'll know that it's ready to go. So we still got probably another month left on those, just sitting on the vine and curing, but they are doing great. And then when I started to look over the plant, I am now seeing lots of new growth. So as I suspected, this one was kind of in a dormancy until those got to the ripe stage. And then you'll see here, right there, we have another female one. There's another little one here. So all throughout this are now little female ones starting to produce on the vine. So it's going to be really exciting to see if they will go into setting on more of these Thelma Sanders, because I would sure love to have more than just 2. I was happy with 2, but I'm not going to lie, I'd love to put more up for the winter, because this is a winter squash. So it is exciting to see that it's actually starting to produce more female blossoms. If you guys watched last week's garden tour, you may remember me saying that I needed to fertilize my Tomatillo plants because they were starting to show signs of needing a nitrogen. I did that, and as you can see, a lot of my leaves have turned back to being a nice dark green. The outside leaves still have that yellowing and veining, but that means that it's working out of the plant and it is starting to get the nitrogen richness in the soil again. It's really helped it to produce more, and in addition to it, you'll see here there are just a ton of new onset of blossoms on it. This is the purple tomatillo plant that is not really turning purple for us. Apparently this varietal doesn't turn purple for a lot of people. However, it is getting this like beautiful golden color to it whenever it is ready to be harvested. I just let them go until they fall because I find that that's kind of the optimum ripeness. It's not going to stay on there anymore. And I'm just hoping that one of them will turn purple eventually. However, the flavor is so good on these, you guys. Purple tomatillos are so incredibly fruity and just have a really lovely flavor to them. I am a big fan of these and will grow them again, even if they don't turn purple, just because the flavor of them alone is so good. I am really a big fan of this purple tomatillo variety. Then you have our tomatillo tree. This is our green tomatillo. It's touching over to the tomatoes now. This one is a beast. This one grows tall. The other one grows short and wide. This one tall and leggy. Anyways, you can see they're very good sized tomatillos. I think this is like the Gigantica, I think is what it's called. It's a very large tomatillo. This is a green variety. So once that husk starts to dry up, then that's when this one will be ready. But you can see that it is getting a lot of blossoms that are setting on it. We're getting a lot of tomatillos that are coming on as well. So this one I think is going to produce for us. It took a little bit longer, but I think it's just because it was putting all this energy into growing tall. Now that it's grown tall, it's starting to look a lot better. We're getting great fruit that's setting on. I just love to look at these, you guys. I think this is just the neatest looking plant. I posted on my Instagram how I was just fascinated by them because when the blossoms are open, they look just like aggressive and assertive. And then the actual tomatillos themselves are just so lantern-like and beautiful and elegant. So it's just a neat plant to me. So that is our green tomatillo. We have our Black Beauty zucchini. If you guys remember from previous videos, I am having a hard time getting female blossoms that stay on this plant particularly. I really think the problem is me. I planted them behind the tomatillo tree that I did not know was going to get so tall, and I just don't think they're getting enough sun there. I really think that's the problem. So this sweet little zucchini plant is probably going to be the first one to go out of my garden when I start to do fall garden. But we're hoping that next year we can figure out and actually get our zucchinis to grow better. But I really genuinely think that the big problem that we're facing in this aisle is just a lack of sunlight. And then we have our ronde niece. And then this one, same thing. We've gotten 2 squashes off of it, but otherwise they just don't seem to set on and stay. I don't know if it is, again, that it's not getting enough sunlight, or if it's the fact that maybe there's something on those T-posts that they're not liking because they were donated to us. Nothing wrong with that at all, but I just wonder if they're just, I don't know what the problem is, but this is my problematic part of my bed. And you know what? It's fine. It's a lesson to be learned. They seem to be doing okay growing up. That's not the problem. I just genuinely think it's a light issue or something going on with our soil. So that I still have to kind of troubleshoot. Our eating tomato row is doing great. You'll notice in here that I went in and I thinned out the bottom third of these rows to allow air ventilation in. I noticed that they were getting very humid inside the tunnels, which I know humidity is not a good thing for tomatoes because it will cause them to get blight. So I thinned that out, which is helping to actually ripen the fruit a lot. We have produced a lot off of the tomatoes. We've gotten quite a bit of the peach tomatoes that you see here. They are very good, you guys. Very, very juicy variety. Good flavor. They're kind of a good balance of sweet and acidic. Just a great tomato that we will definitely be growing again next year. We love them. Great for saladettes, good snacking style, you know, when you're out in the garden, you want something to eat, and it is producing so well for us. You're gonna notice it is extremely tall. Everything, we've kept the shade cloth off all week because we actually had a much cooler week this week, and so we just kept the shade cloth off. They have now exceeded where the shade cloth can go, so we are trying to figure out for this hot week how to put that shade cloth back on so that way we can continue to get growth off of them. But you can see they are growing, continuing to produce, continuing to give us fruit. The shade cloths work. I'm telling you right now, those shade cloths are a lifesaver because normally tomatoes around here peter out at this point, but they are not doing that. Our Kellogg's breakfast tomato. This one has not ripened yet, but you can see that it is setting on fruit. It is very big fruit. And I wanted to show you guys this. See all those little tiny puncture holes with kind of welts around it? Evidently, that is what stink bugs will do to your tomatoes. So if you see that kind of puncturing with welts, that is from stink bugs sticking them and drinking the juices out of them. So if you see stink bugs on your plants, get rid of them because they'll do that. It doesn't seem like it's harming the actual fruit any besides for making it not as beautiful. But you'll see on here, I think the Kellogg breakfast blossoms are so pretty. They kind of remind me of dandelions a little bit, and they're just beautiful. Again, all the tomatoes have gotten incredibly tall and have exceeded what I had put in place for them to keep them shaded. The next one is our Virginia sweets. This one isn't producing as much for us. I'm not really sure why. I have blossoms that are setting on, so maybe the top portion will get some on it. However, we do have a few clusters of tomatoes on it, but it is not a high producer for me at all. I only have a few tomatoes from this variety, so when I get them, I'll let you guys know what I think of them, and I'll let you know also in future videos if I get more production off of them. But as of right now, the Virginia sweets aren't really doing that great. The early girl tomato is living up to her name. She continues to produce for us. Again, like I told you guys last week, it's not a special variety. There's nothing really special about it. However, it does produce a lot of fruit and it comes on really early. As you can see there, there's just clusters of it. So when other ones weren't setting on fruit yet, this one already had fruit going. It continues to produce for us. It continues to turn red faster than any of the other varieties, living up to its namesake of early girl. But it's definitely a good one to throw in there if you're kind of impatiently waiting for the fruit to ripen, so you can kind of get a taste of a fresh tomato from your garden without having to wait a long time. The next variety that we have is our Prudence Purple. This one is a great grower for us. It is doing so well. We have growth throughout the entire plant. I love the look of the leaves on this one. I think it is so unique. As I've shown you in the past, like the typical tomato leaf is like this, kind of lacy. These ones look more like a house plant to me. I just think they are fascinating and I love them. Growing really well for us. We are getting good production off of it. It is a good tomato, you guys. We got one of our biggest tomatoes out of our garden off of this week. It was a big boy, and let me tell you, it was so good. It was sweet. It had a nice tomato richness to it. I highly suggest you getting the Prudence Purple. It's also known as Cherokee Purple. Great variety, you guys. Such a good grower for us this season. Our Sweet Millions. This one, the tomatoes are getting bigger and bigger on it. It is producing great for us. We are getting wonderful little snacks while we're out in the garden to eat. Very good variety, has that nice tomato flavor with the sweetness at the finish. Such a fun one just to snack on in the garden. We haven't been monitoring weights or anything like that, but we have been eating them and enjoying them, and it is one that we will continue to grow because we just love having sweet cherry tomatoes out here for snacking. When you're out working, you deserve a garden snack for all your hard work and labor, and it's just fun to have this variety in the garden, continuing to produce for us lots of new blossoms, lots of new fruit. Yellow pear tomato. This one is just such a blast. It is wonderful to look at. Again, my little fairy tomatoes, my little fantasy creatures of my garden. I love them so much, but you can also see that they are really growing for us. We have a lot on here still. The plants themselves are just wild and unruly, and I just love them so incredibly much. The fruit on it is really good. It gets a nice sweetness to it with that nice acidic finish on it. We are enjoying these ones greatly. They're a good garden snack of tomatoes, and they are just a wonderful size. That's why we like snacking on them. It's because they're just a little bit bigger than that Sweet Millions, so you get a little bit more of that flavor. However, we have picked all the bright yellow ones off, harvested them today, and ate them, but you'll see them again in the future because this thing's loaded and is going to continue producing all season long for us. You can just see those cute little fairy-like tomatoes that make me so incredibly happy, and it stretches across the entire bed. Our San Marzanos. These are our sauce tomatoes. These ones, the meaty tomatoes in the garden, really good for sauces because they don't have a lot of juices. You can see here them changing colors. It's so beautiful to actually look at the different color changes and everything like that. This is another one that I've gotten a few off of. I want to say I got 6 off of this week in the garden. Just popped them in the freezer, so when I have a whole batch, then I can just defrost them. The skin will come off, and then I can make sauce and take care of it from there. But you're gonna see all of them are doing so good. We have a lot of San Marzanos on our plant, and they are growing great for us. And then our last two sauce tomatoes are the Coeur de Bois. These ones are apparently in French, it is translated to ox heart is what they are there. But you'll see that they're starting to blush. They are really pretty and fluted. The flavor was really good on these. They are drier. They don't have as much of the water content in them. We wanted to try it to let you guys know. This had a very rich tomato flavor to it. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I go with a lot of these next year because they are big. I enjoy the way that they look. They look like little gourds in my garden. And in addition to that, I really, really liked the flavor of them, you guys. I thought that they were really good. We will make up tomato sauce with San Marzinos and these and see which one we prefer. But as of right now, I really like that Coeur de Bois. And that was a new one for me. Taking you from there to where our new garden space is going to be next year. Along this fence line, we will be doing a stretch of herbal and botanical plants over here for medicinal and tea purposes. However, this year we were given some plants and we put them in the ground. You can see the video, that was this week's educational video that we did of planting this late season bed, but I just wanted to get stuff in the ground. You can see we have more basil over here. Beautiful basil. These are so densely packed and just gorgeous leaves. They're transplanting really well. Here I experimented and put some of my strawberry runners in the ground to see if they would take root and do okay. No, they need to be rooted before you put them in the ground. As you can see, they did not like that idea very well. I was gonna cut them off and throw them away anyways, so it's not a big deal. And then you can see I have little marigolds growing throughout, and right here is a summer squash that's going to be a pale colored summer squash. I don't remember the name of it. I will find out what the name of it is and then let you guys know, but you'll see that there's squash that's setting on it. I have had male blossoms open up, but now I'm starting to see female blossoms. It is doing really good since I got it in the ground, transplanted, treated it, gave it compost, all that lovely stuff. You can, again, watch the video to see what I did in this garden for transplanting late in the season, and you will also understand the method to my madness of the sunflowers and other flowers scattered throughout. I would definitely check that one out, but you'll see sunflowers all over in here. And then we have two adorable little tiny pumpkin plants. These will be, one variety will be an orange pumpkin, the other variety will be a white pumpkin. We're hoping to get some off of it. Again, these are just those little tiny ornamental pumpkins, but I'm excited to have those and to see if we can get some of them for my fall decor. I love fall. I am enjoying gardening and summer, but I am a big fall girl myself. You'll see this whole stretch, not this big open space, the stretch that pretty much goes the same width as what I have it now, all the way down to just a little past where that grass patch starts, will all be my botanical and herbal garden, which is going to be so fun because I can give you guys some lessons and tips and pointers in herbalism. And I'm very excited about that because that is something that I am passionate about but haven't had the space to really dive into. And the botanicals will help bring in pollinators. Very, very excited about this space. Just kind of trying to show you how large it really is. It is going to be a fun new addition.
Looking at our garden, you can see that it is definitely getting into harvesting and production season. We are starting to bring in a lot of produce. This week we got 20 cups of mint, we got 24 cups of basil out of the garden, lots of tomatoes, a squash, we got some peppers out of it. It is really starting to yield, and we're starting to see the fruits of our labor, so to speak. And it's so incredibly exciting and rewarding. I really am looking forward to hearing how your guys' gardens are doing, where you're growing from. Make sure that you're commenting down below and letting us know what your season's looking like, what things are growing really well for you, and just how your garden is doing this year. We have been really enjoying it and having just a great time with gardening this season, and I hope that you guys are having a good time watching these as they progress week by week, because the changes are incredible every week, and it's so much fun to look back and watch those. We want to thank each and every one of you who have subscribed, who continue to watch our videos, continue to like and comment, and just share us to everybody. We are so thankful for each one of you. We are continuing to see steady growth each and every week, and it's so awesome to see that happening. This is a dream that we've had for a long time and never really knew how to make it happen, and it's a real huge blessing for us to be at this point now. Have a wonderful and blessed week, and remember that from humble beginnings, mighty things can grow if we just tend to them. Bye, you guys. I love healthy foods. You wouldn't think it by looking at me. No, don't say that. That's rude. Don't be rude to yourself. It is so exciting to me. My lighting is weird, isn't it?
Are the meaty potatoes.
As you can... Stop looking at me.
Stop being so pretty.
Anyways, they're gonna think this is like planned now.